the Shelf. I am here with Vogue. I am so excited to be here with you for your 15 questions.
Hi Vogue, let's get to it.
You've been recognized as the main elf on the shelf for the 1825 to 1840 era. What was the Age of Jackson like?
Well, the Age of Jackson was also known as the Age of the Common Man, and really it saw the rise of popular politics and the growth of the Jacksonian democracy. In other words, the people found their voice and began participating in politics.
Awesome. And why is it referred to as the Age of Jackson?
Well, this time period was mainly characterized by the presidency of Andrew Jackson, and he was president from 1828 to 1837.
What is your favorite technological advancement you...
Definitely some of the agriculture advancements. Cyrus McCormick's mechanical reaper was pretty interesting, and don't even get me started on the steel plow.
Tell us a little bit more about Andrew Jackson.
Well, Andrew Jackson joined the Revolutionary War at 13. He was in the Revolutionary Army. He also was iron-willed. He had a big temper. He was born in a log cabin on the frontier. He was a gambler, and he was extremely popular with the people.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the Democratic mascot of the donkey originated from one of Jackson's running names.
What is your favorite meal?
Definitely cookies and milk. No argument there.
What do you miss about the North Pole when you're in America?
I miss Mrs. Claus's cookies. Her gingerbread men are to die for.
I bet. How are the relations between the North and the South during the Jacksonian age?
Well, sectionalism was definitely on the rise, and as westward expansion became more popular, the issue of slavery in new territories became even more pressing.
What's one item you can't live without?
Definitely my candy canes. They give me a burst of energy, and they're my favorite snack.
How do you feel about the Whig Party?
Well, the Whig Party formed post-election 1824 to oppose the Democratic Republican Party, which was also Andrew Jackson's party. And I try to stay out of non-North Pole politics.
How are the politics during this time?
Well, strict class hierarchies were going down the drain, and the election of 1824 saw the caucus system used.
If you could spend a day with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Definitely Santa Prime. But Mr. Mays is pretty cool too.
Tell me about the living situation in the North.
Well, the North was getting more and more industrial every day, and they were becoming way more influential worldwide.
Talk about the winter arc. What about the South?
Well, the South was largely agrarian, and between the North and the South, tensions were developing over issues like states' rights, the National Bank, federal power, and even tariffs.
What about the Native Americans?
Well, due to Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act, they were brutally removed from their homes, and many died on the Trail of Tears.
Wow, it sounds like the Age of Jackson definitely had its dark moments.
Definitely, but the Age of Jackson saw the rise of the common man in politics, the western frontier became more and more popular. Andrew Jackson was definitely a controversial president, but he was very influential. The Age of Jackson will be forever remembered in American history.
Awesome. Lastly, how do you make tough decisions about whether someone is on the naughty or nice list?
Well, it definitely isn't easy, but I try to make decisions based on someone's character or in their actions in developing society.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, Elf on the Shelf.
Hi, I'm here with everyone's favorite elf on the shelf. Today we'll be diving deep into your work in the Age of Jackson, discovering this era's deepest secrets and naughtiest names on the list.
Well, first off, the namesake of this time is at the top of my list. Andrew Jackson himself has quite the notorious reputation. He utilized his veto 12 different times, stopping Congress from getting anything done. He was also responsible for the atrocious Indian Removal Act, in which up to 6,000 Native Americans died on the Trail of Tears. And that's not all. He was also known for the bank veto, in which he stopped Nicholas Biddle and Congress from renewing the National Bank Charter. His creation of pet banks even resulted in a panic of 1837. Jackson's presidential decisions caused chaos and were often disastrous for many groups of people. The specie circular he passed also contributed to the financial panic. He required government land to only be bought with gold or silver.
Wow, who else is on the naughty list this year?
Well, John C. Calhoun was originally Jackson's vice president of cabinet. However, after the Peggy Eaton affair, he resigned rather than stop bullying Peggy. Peggy Eaton had a scandalous past and was mistreated by the other wives of the cabinet. Jackson said that everyone had to stop mistreating her or they would be fired. Calhoun and a couple others chose to leave rather than forget Peggy's past.
It never pays to be mean.
Yep. Moving on. Roger Taney was the Secretary of Treasury that allowed Jackson to cause the pet banks following the bank wars, ultimately leading to the Panic of 1837. Jackson went through multiple other Secretaries of Treasury, firing them all, because he found one willing to let him carry out his disastrous plan. Yikes. Finishing up this year's list, we have the Southern white slave owners and the factory owners responsible for employing children and harsh working conditions. White plantation owners in the South were often owned many slaves and treated them extremely cruelly. They were beaten, underfed, forced to work for no money. The factory owners weren't much better. Many employed children for factory work. Almost all the factories had horrible conditions where many workers fell sick due to lung disease. The work hours were insane, and the wages were little to none. Mistreating people earns you a fast check to the naughty list.
For sure. Thanks for sharing with us, Elf on the Shelf. I never realized how difficult it must be to witness all these horrible actions. Sounds like a lot of people will be getting coal in their stockings this year. Hi, this is an Elf on the Shelf from the Jacksonian era, and this is the Wired autocomplete interview. The first question is, who is at the top of the nice list in the Jacksonian age? This year, the person at the top of my nice list would probably be Frederick Douglass, a former slave who spoke out against slavery. He was a beautiful speaker and really helped Americans to understand the cruelty of slavery. He also taught himself to read and write, continuing on to help other slaves become literate. Douglass was a commendable figure who deserves to be recognized. The second question is, are there members of Jackson's cabinet that made it on the nice list? Yes, of course. Louise McLean and William J. Duane were Jackson's former Secretaries of Treasury. Unlike Roger Taney, they chose to be fired rather than sign Jackson's pet bank plan. They tried to save the nation from a devastating financial panic in 1837 rather than keep their position of power. Next, what was the most scandalous event of the Jacksonian era? The most scandalous event in the age of Jackson was definitely the Peggy Eaton affair. John Eaton's wife, Peggy Eaton, had many scandalous rumors spread about her among the cabinet members, causing her to be outcasted by all the cabinet members and their wives. But despite these rumors, Martin Van Buren chose to put Peggy's past behind and was able to work with John Eaton regardless. Compared to the rest of the cabinet and Calhoun, Van Buren's actions were commendable, and that's why he is on my nice list this year. Who is William Lloyd Garrison? William Lloyd Garrison was a huge figure in the abolitionist movement. He founded the American Anti-Slavery Association, which worked to create immediate abolition and awareness for the cruelty of slavery. He also founded the Liberator newspaper, which served to gain sympathy for slaves and convince the North to join the abolitionist movement. He bravely spoke out against slavery, fighting for an extremely necessary change. He was a very important figure during this time period, earning him a spot on the nice list. Last but not least, were the members of the abolitionist movement on the nice list? Yes, many influential figures in the fight against slavery can be seen on the nice list for this era. A few of these people include James Birney, who ran in the election of 1840 and the election of 1844 for the Liberty Party. The Liberty Party was a new party that rose up to run on the sole platform of abolishing slavery. Harriet Tubman, David Ruggles, Sojourner Truth still helped to organize the Underground Railroad that was an extremely important organization that resisted slavery. Members of this organization helped slaves to escape to the North or Canada to live freely. Their help in the Underground Railroad changed many slaves' lives and helped to give people their rightful freedoms. That's all the questions. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.
Hi Vogue, this is the Elf from the Jacksonian age, and today we are doing What's in My Bag. This is my everyday bag. I take it with me everywhere I go. First off, I have my pack of Polar Ice gum that I take everywhere I go to keep my breath as cold as the North Pole. Then I have my lip balm to keep my lips hydrated during the cold winter months. And I also have my favorite snack, a candy cane, wherever I go. Lastly, I have my finalized naughty and nice list from the Jacksonian age for Santa Claus.
Who are some people on the naughty list?
This year, some people on the naughty list are Henry Clay and John Adams for their participation in the corrupt bargain, which is the main reason they will be getting coal in their stockings this year. Henry Clay helped Adams unfairly win the election of 1824, where there were 4 candidates from the same party, so the Electoral College could not pick a majority vote. It went to the House of Representatives, where Henry Clay was the main Speaker of the House, and Henry Clay became the Secretary of State for John Quincy Adams in return for securing his spot in the presidency. Jackson called this the corrupt bargain.
Who are some people on the nice list?
This year, some people on the nice list are Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. These strong women helped organize the Seneca Falls Convention and spoke out about women's rights. They helped to gain suffrage in the patriarchal society they lived in. Susan B. Anthony was another leader of the women's rights movement. Sarah Grimm is another influential woman on the nice list. She wrote the letters on the equality of sexes and conditions of women. All these people helped fight for the societal advancement of women despite the social prejudice they were faced with, earning them a spot on the nice list this year. Another person who got a spot on Sena's nice list this year was Nicholas Biddle. He was responsible for owning and managing the National Bank. He helped connect the nation and create a stable economy. He was sadly thwarted by Andrew Jackson's veto when he tried to recharter, but he still deserves an honorable mention for all his hard work. And that's what's in my bag, folks. See you next year!